All right.
Hello, everyone. Sherry Fishman. I am the chairperson for the Marketing Innovation Committee, and we are so excited to have our virtual roundtable for today on recruitment. I am here to just welcome you and see how excited I am to see your faces, and also tell you that we have an exciting topic and that we are going to add 30 minutes to your day. We are hoping that we can get this done in an hour. That's our hope, because we all know that everyone would love an extra 30 minutes. So I'm going to key it up for Ryan to take over to talk about how we do this. And let's get moving.
Perfect. Well, Sherry, it's good to see your face and it's good to see everyone's face here. My name is Ryan Hicks. As Sherry mentioned, I'm managing partner at a company called Franchise Supplier Network. Couple of housekeeping items, and then I will discuss our topics and kind of the format for how this will flow. So if everyone in the room, if you haven't been on these calls before, we like everyone to add franchisor, franchisee, or supplier next to your name. If you click the little participants drop down button, click edit, and then add franchisor, franchisee, supplier. That's important so that we can put everyone in appropriate rooms and have a good balance. So the flow of today's session is, first, I'm going to discuss a topic briefly. We're going to go out into breakout rooms and we're just going to have a roundtable discussion. And whenever we go in the breakout rooms for our facilitators, if we could just keep the introductions there kind of short, just name and company, and so that we can get straight in, because as Sherry mentioned, we will probably be in those rooms. I think it's going to be 20 minutes. And so we're looking to have you guys out of here at the top of the hour or just after. And then, so we'll go into the breakout rooms, we'll have discussions, and then we're going to come back and the facilitators are going to share insights from each group. That way we can kind of learn from the other topics and conversations that were discussed. Then we're going to come back and do that same thing again for our second topic, and that will be the flow. So by way of short introduction to our facilitators, I want to thank our facilitators for their time. We have Mary from Eulerity, my favorite name and rhyme to say. Mary she's been a facilitator for quite often. Mary, if you could say hello.
Hi guys, super excited to be here and excited for our chat.
Thank you, Mary. We have Jeremy Leduc from Bridgeline, also a veteran facilitator. Thank you, Jeremy, for facilitating.
Yep. Thanks.
And then Sherry Fishman will also be another facilitator, who Sherry Fishman is the legend. So,
and I think that Robert too joined us too as a facilitator. So
yes, I did.
We have another. Okay, Robert Mitchell, say hello. Sorry for missing you. That's excellent that you are facilitating again. So the session, the topic for the session today is employee recruitment, and this is probably one of the obvious statements of the year is that this is a topic that a lot of brands struggle with today. On top of the macro kind of economic landscape, if you will, across different sectors and industries, I've observed that franchising really has, a couple of unique challenges, but also some unique opportunities. One of those challenges being, historically for the past decade, we have joint employer, which is kind of scared away brands from really leaning in, whether it's operationally or marketing wise, when it comes to recruitment and all things that really touch franchisees. IFA has done a tremendous job at making that less risky and all of those things. There are also departmental divides. So, I've seen, because I've had the pleasure of working with a lot of different brands and in different capacities, and I've seen kind of the marketing department, the operations department, different brands will have recruitment live under those. And there's kind of like not historically, a cohesive departmental focus. And then also probably compounded on that is obviously budget constraints. We'd like franchisees to invest, and we can talk to a blue in the face and get franchisees to invest. And those are some challenges, but there are also opportunities that that give franchise systems really an opportunity to surface ideas to the top. And calls like this, conversations like this also help us as brands share ideas with each other. And so, ultimately the goal being better playbook, better tool set, and for everyone to learn from each other on the call. So the first topic is going beyond the job boards and turning recruitment woes into hiring wows. So a lot of brands here rely on job boards and things of the like for application flow. There are programmatic tools that make job board advertising more effective. A lot of brands or franchisees are just posting on job boards. So there's tool sets around that. But beyond that, in this first breakout session, what we want to do is have a holistic conversation around what everyone here in our different brands are doing to help attract talent. A lot of organizations have gotten scrappy and also have done a good job at striking a balance between providing insights, resources, best practices, and ultimately inspiring franchisees to invest not only money, but time, effort, and energy to have the feet on the streets in the market. So we're going to go ahead and break out into our sessions and have a discussion around this first topic. And I look forward to hearing a lot of the feedback from the different groups. I hope it's not me that needs to be putting everyone in the rooms.
No,
we're working on it.
Okay, perfect. I don't know. We can maybe just have a group discussion while we're going. Let's see that we're going now.
Well,
what's your background, Ryan?
What's that?
What's your background? What city is that?
This is Dallas, Texas.
Dallas. Okay, I knew I recognized that building. I'm like,
yeah, the ball in Dallas over here.
Mitch.
Got my Texas Rangers just made it to the series.
All right.
Congratulations.
Well, we might be doing this without.
Ryan, I wanted to say you put together a document for us facilitators. It was very good. I appreciate it. And you might even want to, I don't know if you can share documents, but it's a really good document. Really made you think about all the different aspects. You might even want to share it.
Especially that'd be great to share it with the other facilitators. That'd be great.
Yeah. Yes.
I didn't get that. So if you have that, I'd love to see it.
Robert.
Right, I'll share it in the chat to you, Robert.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I'll put it in the chat right now.
All right, we are ready to go. So we'll be moving into breakout rooms in just a second.
Perfect. Another few seconds here. All right. I'm looking forward to hearing some of the discussions that went on in the different breakout rooms. So let's go ahead and start with Jeremy.
Hey, all right. Had a really good session. Had some great folks in there from Gym Guys, Serve Pro, Dave's Hot Chicken, great clips. A lot of good ideas. One common thing is just having an applicant tracking system in place. Career Plug was mentioned, Indeed was mentioned, and even just having a system that helps keep everything organized was good. I also heard in addition to that, you could use automation tools in Career Plug or Indeed, but you could also layer on automation software. I heard Workstream. At Sport Clips, we use Paradox.ai. And what that software is doing is it's providing automation like pre-screening questions, scheduling the interview, staying in touch with applicants. So those were some really great nuggets there. Heard a lot of, I really was interested in like where are the big wins, because Sport Clubs, hair salons, recruitment is number one. I mean, it's really, really hard. So I heard like employee referrals and incenting employees was a really big one. Military recruiting for staff level is a big one. I know obviously there's a whole, that's a big deal when it comes to franchisees, but also with staffing. Recruitment for very specific things like apprenticeships and GEDs was an interesting one. And then just general community engagement, like at the fairs and local sports and stuff like that.
Sounds like a really good discussion. One of the things that I'm excited about is seeing some of the sophistication that has really existed in other realms bleeding over into recruitment on many levels, and you touched on a bunch of those. Let's go to Sherry Fishman next. I won't.
Ryan, you decided not to leave me to the last one. Thank you so much. So yes, Jeremy talked about all the fun bells and whistles of technology. We had a small but mighty fine group with Larissa and Marcos. And we went back to what is very important, because they've experienced this late in the game after COVID recruitment problems, going back to employment development strategy, actually doing the marketing for employment, understanding that you have to go back. If you want people to work for you and you want to recruit, retain, and have your employees refer, then you have to go back and refine your positioning statement. Make sure you have that competitive advantage, and really important, add training about culture, how important it is to always think about what you are doing as an employer for your employees. Have that value prop there. That retooling of the training and the culture is key, because without that, you've got nothing. And without that, how are you going to refer? Because how are you going to have anybody want to work for you if it's not consistent? So that was our huge takeaway for our group.
Awesome. Would love to hear. I'd love to dive into details on, functionally how some folks are going about that on the tooling up, on the training. Probably don't have a ton of time to do that. Let's jump over to Robert Mitchell.
Hey guys, so we had an interesting take on it. We went a different direction. So we went more in the direction of what the culture is spitting out these days. Who are the kids that are coming into the workforce, and how do we need to adapt? We can't use the old school what worked before. And honestly, COVID really affected those high school experiences, those college experiences, the learning, and it changed the landscape of the type of employees that we're getting. And Gen Z are also kind of showing that they're a little bit more me focused. So Mandy had a really good insights on what she's doing to help with that. You mentioned culture, Sherry. Unfortunately, culture might need to be modified. Is what her take is. The culture of the organization, more importantly, of her four walls of her location, because she was a franchisee. What does that mean? Well, you don't want to make the brand change, but you do have to understand what's important to them. So how are they incentivized? How are they trained? Not whether you're trained them or not, but how do they learn? And more importantly, how do you set expectations? If they're so me focused, what do we do to help them, bring them into the fold so that we can touch on that need that they have and the need of the organization? So maybe we make them more we focused, get them into ownership of the organization, ownership of the business, so that they can better get excited about being employees, not just, another good thing that came out of our call was I call it giving them points for mediocrity, gamify their work. Oh, you showed up on time. Good job. That's awesome. Here's the little points that you get. If you give them a gamification, they're more likely to kind of engage in the business, because they grew up with iPhones. They grew up with toys that are, in their pocket in games. And so if you kind of change the way they operate and give them some rewards that are based on the stuff that you need them to do every day anyway, maybe I'm old school, but we learned that when we were growing up, how to be good employees. They didn't necessarily. So that's another thing that went well. And also, as franchisors, okay, we have to realize that if we don't have a pulse down at that micro level, you're going to be seen as disconnected with the franchisee. They're not going to trust anything you say. All these great tools you're putting together, they're going to be seen as disconnected because you didn't do a good job of understanding this element. So get into the stores, get into your own location as a corporate owned, and see the problems that are becoming obvious, and and adjust for that. Don't just be spitting out the same tools you've been sharing with them for the last 10 years. It's not going to work.
A lot of really good feedback there. Two comments. One, your microphone is spectacular. And second, on the games and incentives, I've actually seen several franchise specific tools that help with that, even showing up on time, even sales related numbers, really anything that you want to incentivize. There really are a lot of incredible tools that can help map that back to reality. A lot of really good discussion. Let's go to Mary for your feedback from your round.
Okay, I love this. We had a lot of the same stuff as Robert, and I'm so happy that I'm a millennial, really soaking that in right now. One of the biggest things that we talked about was the difference between the generations and kind of the effect of COVID and really I think you said me focus, and I think that's very true. So how do you handle that? How do you scope out good work ethic and potential? And that's something that might be a little bit harder to do these days, and really dedicating time, energy, and resources. And what happens if that doesn't pan out? How do you seek online through your recruitment ads or posting someone that's actually going to be as dedicated as you want? So we're kind of facing that hands-on right now, and that's the first time in a long time. And then just really getting the different differentiation between corporate and franchisee posting, how to make sure that people are applying to what corresponds to them. Yeah.
Excellent. I will say that this is not the biggest group that we've ever had, because I don't think that I think that we'll be promoting it a little bit more in advance in the future, but there was a really good round of conversations. And I think this ties perfectly into the second topic, which is really a focus on employee retention, keeping employees longer, creating advocates within our workforces. And I know that franchisees' employees aren't necessarily our workforce, but a couple of general comments to tee this up. Kind of obvious that retention is more than just numbers. It's about creating a sense of belonging, of value. It's kind of a lot of what was discussed in a couple of these different groups. And that kind of in franchising, that flows down from us as franchisors to our employees, and from our employees to franchisees and their employees. And ultimately, we recognize that the franchisor's role in that and setting that brand tone, and the franchisees' role in their daily operations with their teams. This is not the easiest thing to do, but and we also have to do that in a tasteful way. So in this breakout, we are going to discuss ways franchisors can inspire, can guide, can support franchisees on employee retention, and ultimately talk about ways that we can better equip our franchisees with the right knowledge and tools to be able to succeed in employee retention. So we're going to go ahead and go to the second round of breakouts, and looking forward to hearing some of those conversations.
Yo.
All right. We are welcoming everybody back. Robert, I saw you shared your microphone.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to gatekeep it. Come on.
That's a
Because actually, I'm not hearing myself. I'm hearing everybody else's terrible mics. I'm just kidding.
As a podcaster, I should be better at that. All right.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like we have everyone back in the room. Eager to hear the feedback from this last roundtable. Let's start this time. We'll go in the inverse. We'll start with Mary from Eulerity.
Okay, I love it. We had a great talk and really valuable insights. One of the things we really focused on that I love that came up was using love languages and figuring out how your team members really excel and get inspired. And does that mean extending recognition? Does it mean a monetary thing? Is it friendship and team building? And what that looks like for each person. and also the big difference between leadership and management, someone being a leader versus someone just being able to manage people. Very big difference. And I'm sure we've all felt that in our brands. And then really just how, from the beginning of hiring someone to the beginning of the job to the longevity of their career, how do you maintain being a support system and great culture? And what does that look like evolving over time and incorporating changes, whether that's socially or in the world, and recognizing people at the franchisor level, at the local level, and all of that. Yeah.
Very, very interesting take. I like it. Love languages. My love language is, I think, words of affirmation. I read the book once. Feedback. Let's go to Jeremy Ledoux.
Yeah, it was good. By the way, had a really great group, but I want to point out we have Patricia Miller on the call, a fellow franchisee, and it's always nice to have a franchisee because you are on the ground level, doing these things and keeping staff retained. So we talked a lot about that retention is about respect, right? Having, showing respect, and the way to do that is to have a feedback mechanism where you are pulling up that information. You're pulling back, comments from customers, from staff, about staff, and then you have to do something with that, right? You have to show everybody that you are actually doing something with that feedback. So I thought that was really good and powerful. I talked a little bit about just how Sport Clips does a lot of gamification with retention, and that really helps, right? Because we are talking about stylists who are, they love their jobs, but they're also making ends meet every week. And so we do a lot of gamification on, we have a program where you can make bonus money if you upsell certain things, like what's called our back bar and stuff like that. And
the MVP.
Yeah, or sell the MVP, exactly. And then that rolls up. That rolls all the way up to a regional level where you'll get an accolade, across 300 or 400 stores that you were the #1 person who sold the most MVPs, in that week. And that stuff helps a lot for retention, right? I mean, it's constant recognition of here's how you're doing amongst your peers. So we talked a lot about that. And there was one other thing I wanted to mention, but you know what? I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Let's go to Sherry Fishman from Fishman PR.
Hi, everybody. Had a great group. And it was a mix of suppliers and franchisors. And we were lucky enough to have Samantha from ServPro from the HR department. Yay. She could have run it. That's for sure. But it's very interesting when you think about it, because ServPro has, they have a very elaborate ServPro U, where the franchise, the employees can tap into all this training to get better. There's a gamification to it, if you keep taking the courses, that you keep getting elevated and promoted, more money. But there's not as much engagement on that side. But what she did point out, which was great to hear, is that how they have been able to find and glean advocates has been through the small things. Because in their business, very dirty business, that when they're out dealing with disasters, it's bringing warm food to them, or it's just because promoting as a system of that when they want to, that they should, when they're doing a hard job and they're done with it, to do just a cookout. So hot dogs and beer. I mean, that's what really gets them excited and gets them happy to refer and happy to be there and show up. So that is really important to not forget about that. And then one thing that was mentioned by 2 of the franchisors, which is using onboarding as a retaining tool. So at your point, going back to what I said earlier about what Seabart did and how they're focusing on their brand and differentiating it, and the whole idea of adding employment marketing and importance of that first impression and keeping it going.
Yeah. One of the big buzzwords is employer branding, employment marketing, employer branding. And a constant theme is there between kind of leadership culture and also gamification. There are industry specific and verticalized tools that can help facilitate some of these things as well. Lastly, let's go to Mr. Robert Mitchell.
Hey guys, so this time I kind of went down the list. There was a question that was related to how franchisors help their franchisees with their employee kind of issues. And I'll tell you, I'll give all the credit to Larissa with Siebert. She really had a good take on basically it's all about people management. And I know that sounds so like, duh, but it isn't a duh when you're in the Fran Dev department, right? Which I've been in for most of my career. And you got to start with that. In Fran Dev, you have to make sure that the people you're bringing on realize that is, if your franchise system is a people business, which most of ours are, is first you got to make sure this person has that skill set. Okay, that's crucial. Now, once you've gotten that out of the way, then it's about making sure the culture at corporate starts at the top. So I think the thing that Zebra does really well, according to Larissa, is really establishing that the employees love to be there, right? The employees at the corporate office. And if you create that culture, that just trickles down the ops team, how they instill, how they interact with the franchise owners and then their employees. I'll give you a better example. Everybody here has probably worked for a company who had a terrible culture. And when you have a terrible culture, it's so easy to identify. You see all of the trickles of the poison running through the organization. You see, oh, that's because the CEO is a jerk, or that's because the CEO over here, and you can see all of it go down. But when it's a really good culture, it isn't as obvious. And it's not as obvious as but it's just as impactful. So if you get the top of the food channel or the funnel, really good culture of the corporate office, it really trickles down. So the big takeaways from this one, again, Larissa's the one that gave me all the good ones, is managing people as a key skill set. Having great culture at the corporate office is crucial. And one more I'll throw in there is when you're deploying this, okay, when you want to deploy this at scale, the first thing you have to understand is, what are the problem areas from the franchisees? What are they experiencing in the workforce problems? How are they experiencing it? What's the problem? Get the data first. So how are you doing that? Are you actually doing a survey? Are you doing it through the ops team and really good communications, right? Let's hope so. But then you have to have the right messenger to deploy it. What we do at WSI really well is we let the franchise owners talk to the franchise owners on our biweekly calls that we have. And so that is first the data, what's wrong, and then you find a successful owner that's done well at handling that problem and let them speak. And then you'll get a better engagement from your owners. So,
yep, a lot of great feedback. I will turn it over to Sherry. Heather, I think you also have a quick announcement as we wrap up.
Thank you, everybody. What a great hour, a little bit over an hour that we've had together. These two topics, I knew that we're going to have an active conversation. Just so you know, you will be receiving a recap just through, you'll be able to actually get a link to the recorded parts of this session that I think that you can go back to and refer to. Plus, we will also be including our feeder questions for our facilitators, just so you can go back to your departments, to your people, and have a healthy conversation with our actual discussion and our content that we gleaned here. And I will leave it with Heather, who will talk about the next IFA event that is happening. So why don't you talk, and then thank you so much and have a great day. So.
Sure. Thanks, Sherry. Hi, for anyone who I don't know, I'm Heather Barlow. I'm the creative director here at IFA. Thanks everyone for joining. And I just wanted to really quickly remind you all that the Emerging Franchisor Conference is next week in New Orleans. It's November 1st through 3rd. And we still have plenty of tickets, though we're moving well past our goals for registration. And the only thing I wanted to mention too is that new this year, if you haven't seen this in our marketing yet, is that we have recommended tracks and sessions for specific to unit size. So these are education programs that are specifically designed for people with certain unit size tracks or unit sizes. So that was all I wanted to do. I won't take up too much of your time, and so you can get at least 15 minutes back. Thanks again for joining.
And I'll just second that with Heather. If you're not going to the Emerging Franchisor Conference, you should. I'm doing a panel with Dan Monahan on AI. It's going to be awesome. Got some great use cases for beginning franchisors to all the way to skilled in AI. You're going to love it. So try to attend.
Bye, everybody. Enjoy your day.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
everybody. Bye.
Thanks again.